Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast. I am Melissa Vogel, your host. Welcome to the show. It is still very new and a little different for me to be recording video, especially like my intros with the interview. Like, I'm used to it, but this is different. So welcome. I'm glad that you guys are all here. And remember, you can now watch us on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. It's Melissa Vogel. So go check it out. Watch the episodes, see our guests, see everything that we're talking about. We have so many good things in store for this podcast over the summer months. Our unfiltered episode with my co-host Jen just absolutely blew up. I love the response that we're getting from it. Last week, we launched another great episode about sexless marriage. I was asking all the hard questions for you guys. Just so many good guests coming on, topics and things that, I don't know, we're just shifting. We're really shifting. And I love the shift that's happening. And I want to keep having the conversations that other people are afraid to have. People don't want to admit. I want to go deeper with things, be more unfiltered if that's possible. So I'm excited. I'm excited where this podcast is going. And I'm so happy that all of you are on this ride with me. So if you're a beginner here and you are new to this episode or to this podcast, welcome. I'm really glad that you're here. And if you are a returning listener, welcome back. I'm super excited that you are back here with us. Today's guest does not disappoint, so we'll be diving into her in just a second. A couple of announcements that I want to make. One, make sure you're rating and reviewing this episode. It does huge things for me in this show. It's like leaving an enormous tip in a tip jar. So we don't want you to miss out on your chance to help and like grow the show. So rate and review. Make sure you're subscribing too. A lot of people just listen and they don't actually subscribe and like the podcast. And this is on iTunes and Spotify and all over the place. Make sure you're actually subscribing to the show. That does a lot too. Go to the show notes. If you guys are struggling, if you are not struggling and you just want to go next level, book a call. We always put the links in there. I'm always getting questions on that. And if you don't want to call, you guys email, DM, follow me on It's Melissa Vogel, ITSMELISSAVOGEL. It's Melissa Vogel on Instagram. I hang out there a lot. I answer all my DMs. Might take me a hot second, but I'm always on there and answering. But you can email us too. It's melissavogel@gmail.com. I love hearing from you guys. I love getting your responses. And let us know, like, what help do you need? What topics do you want to hear on this show? But then also, like, where are you struggling in your health and fitness journey? Let's have a conversation about that because we're going into summer, you guys, and you deserve to have the best summer ever. We just wrapped up the Fit Body Method, and our winner, she looks phenomenal. The weight loss that she took off, the body fat percentage, the changes that she made, and this woman showed up. She was like, I am doing this. I am showing up. We just announced it in the group the other day, and I'm so proud of her and happy. So big shout out to Million Dollar Body Labs who donated their amazing sleep formula, their creatine, BCAAs, all of it. And we're going to put a link in the show notes to Million Dollar Body Labs because we have a discount code to them too. It's Bomb Mom. And we got the discount code before we changed our podcast to Bomb Life, but they're amazing. Nate's incredible, the owner. We've had him on several times. It's time we have him back too, but that is where I get like my protein from, my creatine. I love his brand new sleep gummies. Like everything is just spot on. And he was one of the donating contributors to our big gift basket to our winner. So lots of changes happening. We're wrapping that up. May was an insane month. It really was. I know we're more into like June now, but I feel like I'm still kind of recovering from May. And I know some of you might be feeling that way too. And like, now I'm finally in the summer, but I don't want you to let your foot off the gas pedal. I want you to keep moving forward. I want you to know what you're after and don't put it off until after August. It's the worst thing that you can do. I want you to keep moving forward through the summer months. And if you're struggling with that, if you're like, God, how do I do this? What's the best route to take? Book a call, reach out, ask for help. We have so many different levels of ways you can work with us. And we want to find what the best fit is for you. So remember, you don't have to do this alone at all. Now, today's guest is Becca Roses. I love her name. I loved her the moment she came on, and she is the founder of Mind Body Genes. So after today's episode, again, it's going to light a fire under your butt, and you're going to want to find out more about yourself. She is the founder and CEO of Mind Body Genes, and she's an epigenetics educator. She's a wellness expert, and she's certified in epigenetics human performance coaching. And she's passionate about helping other people unlock their health, their fitness, everything through deeper understanding of their unique gene blueprint. You guys, this is so cool. We've never talked about this on this podcast before. So insightful because your genes are everything. And she experienced her own challenges with her health and burnout. And that's what led her to develop this company, to be able to use our genetic code to figure out what foods do you eat? What supplements should you be taking? How should you be working out and training? She's shared some very interesting information about like saturated fat for her. Like it is the devil. Like it is not what she should be consuming at all and avoid it. And I just find it very interesting that she knows that now about herself. Whereas like for me, it might be totally fine. But she found this out through understanding her genetics and where they lie and what her strong suit is, what isn't. And now she helps other people do that through her company. And she has helped countless people better understand how their genes influence the way they think, they feel, they recover, they perform, everything. And she's also the creator of the Gene Queen certification, where she trains wellness professionals to dive into their clients and coach and improve their coaching and their client work with this as well. So her approach, I love it. She doesn't believe your genes are your destiny, and we do have control. And I love that. And the more of a deeper understanding you have of yourself, what's going on in the inside, the more it's going to help you be able to prove everything on the outside as well. And we say this in the podcast, but I thought it was just a really good point to just bring up again, is that before you do anything like this, the solid foundation that you need to have is your food, eating clean. It is your workouts, moving your body, being active. I don't even mean like going to the gym yet. Like we just need a baby step in the right direction. You want that foundation first, and then let things like this help and build on that. But foundation is key. All right, everyone, go to the show notes, check everything out, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome to the Bomb Life Podcast. Help me welcome Becca Roses to the show. Welcome, Becca.
Hi, thanks for having me here today.
I'm excited to talk about this. Before we hit record, I was telling Becca, we've never talked about genes and genetics like this on the show before. So we're virgins to this topic.
So exciting.
I have to know, because you're the founder of Mind Body Genes. Epigenetics, I'm saying that word right?
Yeah, you
Okay.
are.
You're an epigenetics educator, a wellness expert. Like, girl, you do it all. And I got to find out Becca's a mom of 3. So I feel you on the world of 3 kids, and
Oh
it
my
feels
God.
like 3,000.
It does feel like 3,000, honestly. Like they say anything over 3 doesn't feel like that, but I'm not willing to give that a try.
Oh, yeah. I was good at
I'm good
3.
there. I'm good there.
I'm good there. Yeah, they say like 2 is like 200, which is totally true. It's a lot, and then 3 is
Yeah, you
like
double
10.
because you're like from 1 to 2 is totally doubling, and you're like,
Yep.
okay, wow, now I have to like be,
Mhm.
one-on-one like offense or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But I love everything that you do and how you help women use like genetics in simple ways to like figure out what's going on with nervous system support, your health, even food. You dive into this even with like your food and nutrition. That's
And
crazy.
exercise too, which is like right up your alley. We dive into it with exercise and fitness too. It's crazy. You can dive into it from every angle.
Well, and I think people like throw that term out to like, oh, it's just my genes. Oh,
Mhm.
it's my genetics. And I don't think they really understand what they're saying
Nope.
and how much things really do play a role in it or vice versa. They don't realize how much that doesn't really have anything to do with it because they're uneducated and you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Becca, like how did this become what you do? Have you always been in this field from the beginning?
That's a great question. No, it's so funny. I kind of stumbled into this through my own health journey, which a lot of us can relate to, like
Yep.
finding our passions through something in our lives that led us
Yep.
there. The short version or the girl to girl version is after I had my kids, after I had my daughter, she's my last one, I for the first time slowed down in my life. Like I was in a high powered, like high, hours per week career. I was
Mm,
raising a family, like working late nights, working weekends, opening locations, training staff. My background was in learning and development, training, and hospitality. Like it was not in nutrition. I studied food and wine in college. I studied all the things. I studied how it interacted with our body, but it wasn't a traditional nutrition degree. And so, like, fast forward, it's like funny when you hindsight, you look back at stuff and you're like, oh,
right.
yeah, that led me here.
Right.
But I slowed down for the first time in like a decade or
Mm,
more, probably like
mhm.
2 decades, if I'm honest. And my body started talking to me. It was like, okay, girl, like you went through the ringer. We've been like trying to keep you alive and like supported because you've been just stressed out for like a long time. And I was just so tired. I had so many symptoms like weight loss resistance. I wasn't feeling like me. And I think we can all
Mm,
relate to that. At some point, you kind of reach this point where like you're telling doctors, you're telling practitioners, I don't feel like myself. And a
yeah.
lot of the times, unfortunately, you get the words of like, you're a mom. This is how it is. You're tired. You're stressed. Like, try to do this, try to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not helpful in the moment because you're like, but I know myself so well. I know that this is not actually how I'm supposed to be feeling. But it's almost like we get gaslit for a while and then
Yes.
we finally have to become our own experts. So that's kind of what I did. Like in 2020, I received a Hashimoto's diagnosis and I was finally like, okay, this makes sense. The answers are there. And I looked at it as a really positive thing. And people around me were like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? That's like an autoimmune. Like, isn't that scary? And I'm like, no, because I can heal it. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for answers. So I took that into my own hands and I started working with practitioners. I started really deep diving into my own health. I felt like I was like a little bit informed because I had done the whole like, let's switch all our cleaning products over and let's like clean up our house and like, let's do these things that are like less toxic and all this stuff. But I knew enough to be dangerous, but I didn't know enough to really like
Right.
try it. And so that from 2020 to like, you know, 2021, I know this sounds like a really short period of time, but I got so obsessed with everything. I ended up finding somebody that worked in the genetics and epigenetics space, and I got my own blueprint done. And I realized that all of the generic advice I had been following because of a diagnosis, like,
Mhm.
oh, you have this, so you have to do XYZ, blanket advice, was not right for me because of how I was actually coded and made. And I started following my genetic blueprint. And I'm an Enneagram 3. I don't know what you want to call me, manifesting generator. There's a lot of things we could say. Like that's just my
Uh-huh.
personality. Like I'm a Leo. Like it's just when I know something's right, I'm just like, I'm gonna go for it. So I was like, I'm gonna help people with this. So I actually went back to school in 2020 and studied epigenetics. I went through a program that was led by a doctor.
Oh
Um,
my God.
here in Texas, and everything was online at the time because, the world was shut down.
Yeah.
I like deep dove into it and really just said, if I help a few people with this, it'll be worth it because it changed my life. And I was able to put my Hashimoto's in remission, never to reactivate again. Like it's 2026.
Wow.
I don't identify with it anymore. It's honestly like
Yeah.
something that happened, years ago. It's not something that, defines me. But I feel like it's helped me to help other women who aren't feeling like themselves. Maybe they have a diagnosis, maybe they don't. Maybe they're just like, I don't feel good. I don't know why I can't do this. I can't lose weight. I can't, feel vibrant. I can't have energy. And it's like what you said earlier was so powerful because coming from somebody who does genes for a living, I'm going to tell you, like, your genes aren't your destiny. Like, you need your blueprint to understand how you're wired, but we
Mhm.
have so much control. And when we realize that, we can start tapping back into our own intuition. And in a world of you can find anything you want on the internet with click of a
Right.
button, you're inundated. Women are inundated with do this, do that, try this. Oh, my cousin had so much success with this, or my sister did this, or, I feel great eating nothing but, veggies. Oh, I feel great eating nothing but meat. Okay, cool. What about you? Like, what about your individual needs,
Right.
your own self? And it really teaches women to look back inside of themselves and get the map, get the roadmap for them, get the cheat codes for them, and then do what you will, which is, like you said, everything that you have control over every day, what you eat, the supplements you take, the movement you do, everything you listen to, your stress relief techniques, your nervous system support, all of it.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
break this down to us for like dummies.
Yeah.
Like, because when you're talking about your genetics
Yep.
and like your genes, you're talking about like the blueprint of us, like what
Yes.
you got from your mom, from
Yep.
your dad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
We're
so,
like, yeah, to break it down, like super, like to dumb it down,
mhm,
you're looking at your cells, which is through a cheek swab, and you're seeing your genetic code. So it's literally everything you've inherited from your parents.
that's
We
crazy.
I know, right? And like down the line too. And we call them SNPs, we call them genetic SNPs. They're
Okay.
SNPs. And we can look at every single variation of that. So that's the like sciencey technical part. The really simple way to describe it is we were all so uniquely made and set up with a certain set of rules, right? And the rules are not they're not hard. It's like, do you do better with high protein? Do you do better with certain types of fat?
Mm,
Does your body like to move more endurance based, or do you like to move more power and sprint style, like based on your muscle fibers? Do you have the likelihood of being deficient in these certain vitamins? And then that's something that you're always going to be, needing to take as your
right.
kind of your foundational
Like you're
needs.
not broken. That's just
You're not
how
broken.
your
You need
genetics.
more vitamin D. You're not broken. You need more choline. It comes back to that. I'm glad you said that,
Interesting.
Melissa. Like, you're not broken. It's your makeup. It's your code. It's your user manual. Like when you buy, like, let's see, like what's something exciting to buy, like a new piece of equipment or like something to like curl your hair with. Like you get a manual, you get a booklet. It tells you how to use it. We don't get that. I joke as a mom, they give you a baby at the hospital after you're done. You're like, okay, like I don't get a user manual. I remember having my son. I was 23 when I had my oldest, and I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to go home with this guy and
Yeah.
like take care of him. And like, I don't even know if I know how to take care of myself. Like we've had that moment
Right.
where if there was a user manual, that would be really cool. And this is kind of that. It's kind of like your own personal user manual. It's your own personalized like map for yourself. And until then, you're kind of trusting and you're having to filter advice that comes from something other than that,
Right.
right? Which is just like, I mean, I tried everything. I tried since I was like a teenager,
Yeah.
you name it. Like, I mean, I was like doing all the things, like the Snackwell, the Atkins, like every popularized thing that came out, I was doing it. And looking back, I'm like, that was just searching for things outside of me, the whole time.
Right. I'm curious, why do you think that we're not hearing more about this? And like, why isn't this like a common practice of like, you're a human, you go to a doctor, like, oh, did you bring your genetic code with you so we can review this? And just
Right.
like,
Oh my gosh. I wish we lived in a world where if you went to the doctor to like get your annual checkup or especially like just talk about like a well woman exam, like most of us probably do that more than we go to like our primary care and we like, okay, let's go get our pap smear. Let's go get
right.
everything out, whatever. I wish it was like a common practice, but I meet so many doctors and practitioners who like it's not taught in medical school. It's maybe
Yeah.
one class. It's brushed over and you'll hear a lot of like, "Oh, I don't believe in that. It doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah." But like what we're actually not saying when we talk about like when people say like the genetics don't matter, they're not realizing that like we're actually talking about epigenetics, which is everything you do to influence those genes. So like
Mm,
we were all dealt hands, right? Like some of us have like a higher propensity towards insulin resistance in our families, in our genes. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you were dealt bad genes. It just means if you're living a lifestyle that supports insulin resistance and you're not
right.
moving and you're eating things that don't support your blood sugar and you're stressed out all the time and you're coping with things that aren't, supporting your body very well, you're drinking heavily, you're doing all these things. Those genes are like, okay, we know what to do because you're prone to this. So we're going to turn on. and we're going to do that. And so people think like, oh, it's just my genes. No, it's the genes plus what you're doing epigenetically to turn them on. And in the same way you can do that, you can turn them off.
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter if, I'm prone towards, some pretty kind of crazy like cognition genes. And I've seen it in my family. I've seen my grandmother like have early onset Alzheimer's and dementia. But I know because I know what my genes are that I know what to do to prevent that. Right.
Mhm.
And generations before us didn't know. So knowledge truly becomes power in the hands of,
Interesting.
I believe, very smart women. And you don't have to have a degree in this to understand it. That's what I believe.
Well, and it's really cool too because, like, as you're talking, I'm listening and, like, how many times have we heard women talk or something worked for one person and then it didn't work for another person,
So often.
and, like, this makes sense, and what I do and with my clients, I see this all the time, and I'm constantly reminding women, like, "Look, comparison is the root of all evil, like, you are completely different, every body is
Mhm.
different than another." And this I feel like is kinda like a missing piece of that puzzle. It's kinda like making things make sense a little bit more that if your genetics are different, which they are, we're all individual,
Mhm.
yeah, what worked for her isn't going to work for you.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. And it's why some of us stumble upon the right things because you try enough stuff and
Yeah,
eventually you're like, oh, this really did work for me. And then a lot of the times, if you do end up getting a genetic blueprint and you've already found what works for you, I have a lot of clients who will be like, that's why that worked for me because they'll see something on there and it'll say like, I'm a really high responder to a low carb diet and I respond with weight
yeah,
loss. And they're like, that's why that works for me. But my husband tries it and he doesn't lose any weight. Okay, well, he needs a ton of complex carbs, maybe,
right.
perhaps. That's the setup. So it's like, it can be really confirming. It can be really eye opening. We see a lot of light bulb moments on the sessions where people are like, oh, this is why I can't eat charcuterie because I have a really high histamine sensitivity. Well, you can take things. I'm not telling you, I'm the last person to tell you to stop eating charcuterie and drinking wine. Like you do you, but there are tools. There's tools. If you know your makeup, you can learn how to have the best life. I was like gluten free and dairy free for years and so miserable. And again, that works for some people. Genetically, it doesn't work for me. But I was doing it because I was told, oh, you have Hashimoto's. You got to cut it out or it'll inflame you. Well, looking back to pictures when I was gluten free and dairy free, I was 40 pounds heavier. I was inflamed. I was stressed out. I was telling my kids, no, mom can't have that. No, I was like, my nervous system was reacting to the restriction. And now knowing deeper what I know about my genes, it makes total sense. I don't have the setup to be gluten free or dairy free. I don't have any of those sensitivities. I was eating more junk because I was like, "Oh, I can't have, just a good
Right,
quality sourdough and a good quality dairy, so I'm gonna have all the processed junk gluten-free shit."
right,
And then that's a problem. And then my nervous system is like, "Oh, you're restricting yourself, Becca." And I did an experiment and I said, "I'm gonna eat gluten, I'm gonna eat dairy, and I'm gonna focus on just quality." And I don't have anything that I truly restrict in my life anymore. And I've never been healthier, like biomarker wise, body composition, all of that. And it's just so funny to do that experiment because every woman I meet on a session and all of our coaches who meet with women, they, most of them come to the table and they are holding on to some sort of something that somebody along the way told them to do or they heard and they're like, "But I can't have that," or "I can't do that." And you're
mm,
like, "Why? Who told you that?" Or
right,
why do you think that?" And when we can dig deeper into that, it's so beautiful to see women, like, you can appreciate this, come out of their shell and just be like, "Yeah, I do know
I
myself.
know.
I can do this." Like, how often do you hear from clients,
Oh
especially in
my
your line of
god.
work, where they're like, "Oh, Melissa, like, if I can't get in, like, an hour workout, like, it's not even worth it." You're like, everything counts. Like
Everything.
you doing a few push-ups and some, lifting some small weights, meeting yourself where you're at
Mhm.
absolutely counts. But we don't somehow along the way, we kind of lost the sense to trust ourselves and also like count the
Yeah.
small things, right?
Yeah, yeah, well, the biggest thing that I get is, like, women are like, "Oh, I could never, like, lift weights," or, like, I
Yeah,
could their belief about
their
that, like,
belief.
"Oh, I could never go into that weight room by myself," or, "I don't like crowds," so that's why I'm not gonna
Yeah,
go is because I have this issue with crowds, and it's just too many people, and I'm like,
yeah.
"When did you start believing this?" Like, and look at how much
Ah.
it's limiting you.
such limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves, and then we believe them to be the truth after a while because we've said it. And
Yep.
we're saying it out loud. How many times are we saying that in our heads to ourselves?
Seriously. Yeah, because isn't it like 1,000 times in your head versus the 2 times that, like, come out of your
Yeah.
actual mouth, you know?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
was the biggest things that you learned about yourself and you were like, "Oh my god, this makes sense about your genes?"
Yeah, there was quite a few.
I bet.
A lot of it was having to do with the detox pathways. So I always thought like my issues stemmed from like what I was eating. Like I said the phrases before, I could just look at a piece of chocolate cake and gain like 10 pounds. That was
Mhm.
like a part of my narrative for so many years. And
Mhm.
I believed that about myself. I come from a family of 5 siblings and I was just like, I don't know why I'm the only one that has issues with this. It was just like toxic narrative over and over and over. And I kept blaming food. I kept blaming all the things. I'm like, I'm doing everything right. I don't understand. Then I dove into my detox pathways and I realized like I'm just what I am is I'm under supported. I'm under-supported and I'm undernourished. And
Mhm.
I was restricting myself to a point of, like, working out really, really hard. I come from, like, the era of, like, "Let's go to the gym for 2 hours, let's have 1,200 calories, let's not,
Yep.
like, then we'll be skinny." Like,
Yep.
that was, like it was, like that was an era, and we lived it. But even after, like, that was over, I was carrying a lot of those things around and then looking into my genes, my phase 2 detox pathways were really slow. They're really reduced. And so they need a lot of support. And so, how do you support those things? You slow down. You slow down. You don't do too much, which is kind of against my personality. But once I realized like I needed more of the right micronutrients, um, I needed a lot more choline than I thought. Like I have one of the highest choline needs, and that wasn't talked about to me at all.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Pretty sure no doctor ever said, like, "Take more choline."
Right.
A lot of these things were really simple tweaks, like getting on the right formula of multivitamin for me. Working out became something that I, like, started to resent because all I was doing was just going really, really hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
instead, I needed to be a lot more balanced. I needed to incorporate things that really nourished my nervous system. My, like, stress support and nervous system genes are really interesting because I kind of fall in the middle of this, what we call our COMT status. So I kind of fall in the middle. And what that means is I can fluctuate. So during times of stress, I can become a warrior and like go, go, go and just like white knuckle everything. Or in times of like prolonged stress, I can
Mhm.
become that more warrior type where my system is really sensitive. I stress out about everything, but I internalize it. I ruminate. Like there's genes that can tell us like how you behave from like an anxiety level. And those were really, really like eye opening for me because I always struggled with it and didn't know why. Like, why am I so anxious? Like, why do I have these thoughts?
Right.
And once I was able to pinpoint some genes, I realized like it's super important for me to nourish my nervous system and my stress system. And so like my 2 hours at the gym became walking every single day in my neighborhood. It became lifting weights
Mhm.
because I still needed to do that, but it wasn't about getting, like PRs on the leg press anymore. It was
Right.
about moving my body. It was about doing things that felt joyful instead of doing things that felt like a checklist. For me, that was a big thing. Like everything in my wellness journey became a checklist and it became like okay, now I got to do this. Even my like things that I love, like taking a bath. okay, now I got to take a bath so I can like check that off my list. And I was like, whoa, that is like a bad place to be at, especially for
Yes.
somebody with such a sensitive detox pathway and nervous system genetically. That's when you know you're holding things too tightly.
Mm.
Your body's going to inflame because you're like, what are you doing? You know, like, what are you doing, girl? You're literally like, you're not even enjoying your life. And then when I let all that go and started enjoying my life and really like focusing on the joy, the happiness, the movement, like everything that I could do instead of what I couldn't do, literally changed everything.
Hmm. I wonder how much I have to do this, just so you know. Like,
Yes, you have to. Oh my gosh, you have
I'm
to.
like, I need
Yeah.
to do this. And then you should come back on and we should go over
And
my
we should
results
go.
and stuff.
That would be so fun. We've done that before on different podcasts where the host will be like, "Okay, I'm doing it," and then we're gonna do like a deep
Mhm.
dive into my genes on the podcast, and
It
that's so
makes me nervous. It like makes me sweat, but like my audience loves it when I'm the guinea pig.
you kind of feel like you have to be
And
right. You're
then,
like, yeah,
yeah, but I just wonder how much I have been able to learn because I'm so aware of my body.
yes,
Like with my cycle and my food and
yeah,
my stomach, I'm like, I've had
yep.
people tell me so many times, they're like, you're so in tune with yourself. And I wonder how much I've learned, but it'd be nice to know this data too.
It would be
I've,
really cool,
I've
yeah.
never heard it before, but
And what can confirm, and, yeah, I meet
yes.
people all the time that are so intuitive, they're so good at understanding, like, what they need, they figured it out along the way, and those are the people that teach others, which is great, which is why you do what you
Yeah.
do. Amazing.
Yeah, but there are parts that make you feel like you're broken. I wrote that down in front while you were talking because it's such a powerful message. I think all of our listeners need to hear that, like, there's not
Yeah,
something wrong with you. You're not
yeah,
broken. Your body isn't doing you a
yeah,
disservice.
yeah. Well,
It's
and do you
just
wanna
how
know,
you're
like, a funny thing too? You asked, like, what was the biggest thing I learned? I just remembered this because it's just been so many years, but I have a really poor response to saturated fat. And my ApoE
Oh,
status, no, sounds crazy. Well, we can talk about that more. It's basically a set of genes that tell you like how your body responds to saturated fat, but also like age-related condition risks associated with that. Well, I have a risk allele there, so I have a risk gene, and I realized like I fell into the craze of like the bulletproof coffee, the like high amounts of saturated fat.
oh,
But again,
shit.
I'm not demonizing those. Those are great for some people. I see
Right.
people that have a really effective response to saturated fat. Genetically, that's not me. So when I go full blown keto, when I do butter in my coffee, when I do coconut oil in my coffee every morning and think like, oh, bulletproof, whatever, I'm doing
It's like
whatever,
death for you
it's like the worst thing I can do.
ever.
And so when I switched over to just literally doing olive oil instead and really following more like Mediterranean style fats in my life, like 20 pounds came off me overnight because my body was like, thank you for not giving me poison. To me,
To
that
you.
was poison. To somebody else, that is fuel.
This is crazy. There's probably so many people listening right now going,
Shit.
my God, like, holy shit, like, maybe this is me or whatever, but
Yeah.
um, I've been struggling with my vitamin B,
Yeah.
and I've had blood work come back and certain like, I said this on another podcast, like, my HCV or something was, like, really high, and, like, no one was paying attention. I finally went to this holistic guy down in San Diego, and he was like, "Your body's not absorbing vitamin D. Has no one said this to you before?" And I'm like, "No." And he gave me a shot. He's like, "Let's just boost it, but for some
Yeah.
reason your body's not absorbing it." And I'm like sitting here thinking, I
Yeah.
wonder if I'm just genetically more predisposed to this. So this is something that like I need to be on for the rest of my life, or like I am the type of person that probably needs to make time and set aside money or whatever to have these shots because
Yeah.
that's just how I am or wired. This isn't fair. Like I'm doing everything I can and I just can't shed that last layer. I can't tone up. Like it won't leave. And I think
Yeah.
I have learned that like genetically, I my body responds to weight training
Yeah.
way more than cardio. And people are always like, how much cardio do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, none.
You're like, no,
Walk.
yeah, walk. Yeah.
I walk daily. That's my cardio and sex.
Yeah.
like,
No, absolutely.
like that's it.
Yep.
And I think I've just learned this, but I would not be shocked if we did myself and then you were like,
Yep. Yep. No, absolutely. And I mean, I'm curious to see your B vitamin panels too.
I'm anemic too. I had
Oh,
been
yeah.
struggling with my anemia, but they're always like, "Are you tired? Are you fatigued?" Like, you like, all the symptoms. I'm like, "No,
No, but it's showing
no."
up in abs, yeah.
Yeah, I had been fighting for my life with my Ferritin, and then I finally did infusions, and then my insurance was like, You have good high enough numbers, but, like, you're not low enough for us to give you more and to cover more."
Uh,
And I'm like, "But I should be up here, and you guys got me to here." And
yeah.
it's so that you fight with that, so I just paid out of pocket and got it done, and then, of course, it, like, stayed, I felt better, but no one can figure that out. They're like, "Why are you anemic? Is it your periods? Are you not retain—" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, "No, I think my periods are fine." Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you're like, "You
eating
tell
red
me."
meat, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is so crazy, Becca.
It's no, it is. It's so crazy. There's so many categories, like and it really just depends on the person too. Like we can see so much and it's like we do like our standard blueprint on everyone covers kind of all the lifestyle factors, but we have things like I mean, these days like even you can learn about your hair health genetics, your cannabis genetics, you can learn about your how you process ketamine. There's people that are like clinics that are now using genetics behind the scenes to make sure that somebody would be okay for certain therapies. And I think it's like
Yeah.
it is like not enough people know about it yet, but I think it is becoming a little bit more mainstream to where like certain sectors are going, how can we treat our patients and our clients better as individuals instead of just like giving them all the same
Yes.
treatment plans and hoping for
Yes.
results that we know are going to be different for everybody.
Well, seriously, how much does this help people with food and
Oh,
nutrition
so much.
and,
Yeah.
like,
So
being able to, like, personalize things based on them?
So much. I mean, if you yeah, I would say, like, the one panel that I will never not run is nutrition
Mm,
because nutrition, micronutrients, and then, like, the detox pathways, those
yeah.
3 are, like, the main ones. It's like, yeah, sleep and fitness and, skin health and hormones, those are all really great panels, but if
Mhm.
I want somebody's foundation, I'm gonna tell them, like, what you need to be eating, what kind of vitamins you need to be taking, and how your detox pathways are. If we can start there, that's fantastic, and then you can layer in the other ones anytime you want because those are a little bit more complex. Hormone genetics are cool. We also need to see, like, what's actually going on with your hormones to understand the full picture.
Mhm.
But if you can tell somebody you need a lot of complex carbs, you need a lot of protein, and you need this type of fat, you're basically taking care of their macro intake.
Right.
And then you're taking care of their micro intake, their micronutrient intake. And you're also able to tell them a little bit about like their food sensitivities. We can look at if somebody has the celiac genes. We can look at if you have a sensitivity to grains. We can look at if you have a sensitivity to dairy or if you have, weight gain from dairy. Like some people, they gain weight when they have dairy. Some people, for them, dairy is very optimal. Other people, they have trouble with satiety. So those are the women
Mm,
that are like, I just don't know when I'm full. Like I can't sense when I'm full. I do all the tricks. I do the mindful eating. I can't sense when I'm full. They may have higher leptin, propensity. They may have genes that code for appetite and fullness sensing and or snacking and emotional eating. And then they're going here thinking they're broken. Like you said,
right.
really, I'm just broken. I'm an emotional eater. I snack all the time. I just can't help myself. No, it's in your genes. Okay, well, you can look at tools to help you if you know where it's coming from. It's not I know that like there's a lot of conversations happening out there in the peptide world too, and it's all one size fits all. And that's the problem. It's like we literally
Mhm.
can now run a report on peptides for people because we have to. Because a lot of people are going into it and they're saying, oh, I'm starting all these things that I got off the internet but they don't know why, and they don't know if they could actually benefit from them. They don't know if they have any risks associated with them. And
Right.
I'm not just talking about the GLPs. I'm talking about like some really cool, heavy hitting like longevity peptides and peptides that help people with histamine and mast cell activation. Like there's a lot of really cool tools out there. But if you don't know like genetically how you're set up for those things or if you need help with, gastric emptying, if you need help with satiety, if you need
Right.
help with that, you might just be blindly literally stabbing yourself for no reason. And it's costly. So it's like we'd rather streamline and be able to tell you what tools would actually work for you.
Yeah. Yeah. God, this is just, like, opened my eyes to so many things, I keep thinking of, like, so many different people that I know that I'm like, "You need to talk to Becca."
You,
Well,
you need it.
it's why we started training practitioners. It's why, like, back in 2023,
Yeah.
I saw the gap in the market and I was like, I can't see everybody. I'm one person.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you feel that. You're like, I can take on this many clients. I'm a
Yep.
mom. I have 3 kids. I have, businesses to run. It's like, okay, I want to help more people. So, like, because of my background in training and learning and development, I created a certification course because I was like, I do believe anybody can do this. And it doesn't have to be complicated. So I started like training practitioners, personal trainers, naturopaths, nutritionists, just wellness enthusiasts. Like, again, my background wasn't in I didn't have letters behind my name before I started this. So
Mhm.
I don't have any kind of prerequisites for people to learn this and help their clients with their genetics. It's just something that I believe everyone should have access to.
Yeah. It definitely sounds like it. I just can't believe it's not more mainstream. It's not more like asked, and we're questioning this because it plays such a big role in everything and how we live.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about histamine? Because that's a topic that's been coming up a lot more. Give us that, like, to dummies. Like, how
Yeah.
does it impact us?
So, yeah, to answer your question, histamine genetics show up for us in nutrition panels. And so we look at that in 2 different places. And there's 2 different ways you can look at histamine. It's like generalized histamine. So it's
Okay.
like, are you somebody that gets, asthma, sinus issues? Do you have symptoms when like the pollen is really high, when you have external histamines? Or are you somebody that has a really big sensitivity to food-based histamines? Like I talked about wine, charcuterie, fermented things, bone broth, like things that are health foods, but yet a lot of people have issues or triggers with them.
Mhm.
So you see that in genetics, and we look at, about 11 different SNPs there. We look at the way our body processes histamines. It breaks it down through DAO. We look at how we're set up to kind of like already have histamine levels in our body. We all do, right? So it's like a matter of like we hear the term like how full is your histamine bucket? Well, some people already start with a really full bucket and then they can't convert it, they can't process it.
Hmm.
So they end up with symptoms. What ends up happening next is something called mast cell activation. And a lot of people are talking about MCAS and things like that online.
Mhm.
um, you're looking at basically immunoglobulin levels, which tells us, how sensitive somebody is to having like a full body reaction, mast cell activation, where they feel like they're sensitive to so many things. They can't eat anything. They can't even have a banana or an avocado because they just flare up every time. And they're like, what is going on with me?
Hmm.
Or they'll go outside in the heat in the sun and they'll just get like complete reactions. So histamine is a huge one for women, especially because it's so deeply tied to the immune system,
Yeah.
right? And so when our immune system has been under stress for so many years from other factors, we can look at histamine along with stress response, along with their detox pathways, their methylation, and we can tell, you know, does somebody need to be more supported in areas, and will that make their histamine journey easier?
Mhm.
If it's a small case of it and they don't have a ton of issues, they're not really in the mast cell activation territory yet, you can take enzymes before you eat high histamine foods, DAO enzymes,
Okay.
histamine can be probiotics. A lot of people are on probiotics that are exacerbating the symptoms because they're not histamine friendly, and it's basically just taking a histamine strain, and so you're adding that to your gut too. So it's a lot. It's a lot of like little tweaking.
Yeah.
Um, I've met with clients who, yeah, they were doing all the right things. They were like, I'm sipping my bone broth, I'm having my collagen, I'm having my, my fermented foods, I'm eating my yogurt, I'm doing all these things, and I'm taking my probiotics. And then you look at their genes, and you're like the highest histamine sensitivity, and you're like, hang on, let's stop doing those things for a while. Let's get your body back in balance. Not saying you can't ever have them again, but basically you're high dosing yourself every day. So that's a problem.
Jeez.
And you're not doing anything wrong because you didn't know. And none of those things are bad. None of those foods are inherently bad. I have people who are so sensitive to glutamate and glutamic acid that they can't have collagen and a lot of supplement powders because they're basically just high dosing themselves with something they're very sensitive to every
Wow.
day. But that doesn't mean that somebody else can't have it and that's not their, their fuel.
Right.
Glutamate for some women it's very excitatory. They can't convert glutamate into GABA. And so they end up wired, really anxious, having a lot of downstream issues with, a lot of the things. It kind of looks like mast cell activation, but, in children too, like hyperactivity, all those things, because they can't create the calming neurotransmitter because they have so much glutamate in their system their activity is so low for conversion
Mhm.
that's a lot of women's stories. They're like, oh yeah, I'm having collagen every day. I'm taking protein, like I'm doing protein powder. I'm doing all these supplements. I'm having, similar things like the histamine, the bone broth, the slow fermented foods, the like really healthy, gut friendly diets. And then they're like, oh, you have the lowest GAD activity, which means your conversion of high glutamate into GABA is so low that you're always going to be in that excitatory neurotransmitter range. And to get to the calm state where your body needs to be to heal is so hard for you while you're high dosing those things. So let's
Jeez.
take them out. Let's kind of detox from them. Let's take them out. Let's switch some things out and then let your body come down. And then you can add the things you love back in. Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, you may love a certain protein powder and then great, go back to that. Just don't do everything all in one day.
Right. Right. So there's ways around it. There's
There's ways
there's
around it.
ways to work and ways around all this. And I
Yeah.
gotta believe that you would totally agree with me first that doing all of this is necessary. It's important, but like the basic steps and the foundation of cleaning up your stuff and
Absolutely.
moving your body
Yeah.
is
Girl.
key. Like
It's key.
I
Yeah.
don't want people to think that, they can continue on eating all of the crap, getting the Starbucks, like, yeah, I got a gym membership, maybe I'll start going. And they're like, oh, well, I can just do this and find out
Yeah.
and just switch a few things like that solid foundation
Yeah.
of clean eating,
Yeah.
healthy, paying attention,
Yeah.
organic when possible, non-GMO, and like
Yeah.
activity and moving. That has to happen first.
Foundational. And it shows up in the blueprints too. Like you'll see that
I bet it
it's you'll
does.
see like sensitive environmental sensitivities all over the board. And it's like, and then somebody will tell you like, but I don't really think it matters like cleaning up my personal care products or like using non-toxic cleaning supplies and
Right?
things like that. And you're like, well, your body would disagree because you're so sensitive to phthalates and general chemicals and benzenes and BPAs and pesticides that cleaning up your home, cleaning up your diet, cleaning up your products, that all really matters because without that, you're kind of
Mhm.
like behind that. You're not you
Constantly.
could do all the other things, but it's not going to stick because you're just kind of redoing all the other stuff.
Right. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
it's really powerful. I would say it's freeing, it's powerful. It's not a, easy way out because it doesn't give you like, yeah, there's some simple tweaks you can make and there's some very obvious like low-hanging fruit, I like to call it, but it's
Right.
not simple. You still have to do the work. You still have to do the things. You can't heal from a stressed state either. So you got to be willing to work on stress and you got to be
Mhm.
willing to create the tools and boundaries for yourself to work on those things. And then it all can fall into place when you do
Right.
those.
What age can you start doing
Ooh,
this?
I love that question. Any age. Yeah, we do kids a lot because usually I do the mom's blueprints and then they're like, okay, I'm doing my whole family.
I need to
That's
like
how
figure
that
out my
works.
kid.
So we've done as early as like 5, 4, like it doesn't matter. You
Okay.
also can be older. Like I get asked a lot, like, what about my 80-year-old mom?
Sure.
You can absolutely do it. There's nothing that's going to change about your static SNPs and your genetic code.
Yeah.
No, it's all about like where you're at in life. Learning about this when I was a kid would have been so cool and would have been a
That's what
game
I
changer.
was thinking. I was like, knowing some stuff sooner rather
Oh
than
my
later, like,
gosh.
holy crap.
So cool. So like wherever you're at, it's not the wrong time. I would say like moms that get it done for their kids, they feel so empowered because I've done all my kids too. And it's like they're different, they're different. They have the same, they came from the same parents, but like one of my kids like does really well with, high dairy. The other kid like doesn't do well with dairy at all. From a standpoint of like the saturated fat piece, they take after me more. And then, another one of my kids, like my daughter and I are really fast metabolizers of caffeine, which is great because she's 8 years old and she already loves like everything about the culture of like, we also run a coffee shop here in Houston and she's like, I have a coffee shop. She's that kind of girl. And I'm like, well, when
Right.
you get older, yeah, you do metabolize it quickly. So that's not going to be an issue for you. My boys, they're very slow metabolizers. My teenager who does drink coffee, he notices if he has it too late, he's like, I can't sleep. I'm anxious. I do
Oh,
this.
jeez.
No, he knows his genes. He knows it about himself, but
Right.
teenagers, they don't always listen to their moms. It's fun. It's really fun. Some of them, like, especially their exercise genes, they love, like, my son runs cross country and he's
Be helpful.
so
That
like he's built for endurance, Melissa. Like you can see it in his code. Like he is an endurance athlete. He runs. I'm going like, that sounds so horrible to me because I'm opposite. I'm like, give me, power and sprint, give me like the short
Right.
stuff, like, on a Peloton. Like, I'm not choosing a 45-minute endurance ride. I'm like, that is my own personal hell. 20-minute hitting hills, got it.
Right.
Like for him, he's like, I'll go run 5 miles. Like, that's my warm up. It's cool. You're seeing it there. You're seeing it like, oh yeah. And then my other son, nope, that's not him. He's more like me. He doesn't do well with endurance. That's not him. He's not set up for that slow twitch muscle fiber movement. He's just not. And it's really cool. Some people are more balanced.
See so many parents too, like, because my kids are all athletes and in
Yeah.
sports, and we've done martial arts and all that. And you see parents pushing their kids in sports because the parent liked it,
Yeah.
and the kid is just fighting it. Like, how cool would that be to know that, like,
To know.
they are not a basketball player. Like,
Yeah.
that type of intensity
Yeah.
is not for them. However, they might be really good at, like, wrestling or
Especially because like when you
distance.
put all the exercise genes together, like you can learn if somebody can build power and strength really fast, if somebody can build muscle really quickly, if somebody is more injury prone. So like for athletes, I wish every athlete had this because it's like you can see Achilles risk, soft tissue risk, joint risk, so that you can prep better, you can plan better, you can get in, flexibility training more often, you can do things, you can prioritize certain supplements if you are going to do certain things. Like
Right.
you're prone to that. Like it's why my brother, when he was like just playing pickleball, like tore his Achilles. He has a huge risk for Achilles, weakness, and he didn't know it. He was in his early 20s. There was no reason for him to tear an
No.
Achilles. He wasn't doing anything crazy. It's
Mm-mm.
just like the right time, wrong place, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, oh, had he have known, like maybe he would have set himself up for success a little bit more, or like just been aware. Cause I think awareness is something that
Yeah,
if
different shoe, different ankle brace, like, yeah,
Totally.
there could have been a few
Yeah.
things. Interesting. This is so cool, Becca. Like, how can people work with you? How can they find you? We'll put everything in the show notes too, but give it to us, like, social
Yeah.
media, everything.
Yeah. I'm on social media as Mind Body Genes, mostly on Instagram, but you can find me all over the place. Mindbodygenes.com as well. You
Okay.
can with myself, but you can also work with any of our certified coaches. That's why I list them all on our website, the ones that want to be listed and have gone through our training. If you resonate with somebody, maybe you vibe with somebody that's in your area or that kind of specializes in what you're dealing with, whether that be autoimmune journey, whether you want to work with a nutritionist or somebody that's in like preconception, dietitian, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. You're working to prep for pregnancy, like whatever your story and background is, we have somebody available for you.
Okay.
And it's a one and done test. You never have to redo it. So that's why I also like to say it's expensive in the grand scheme of things with testing, but I was shelling out $500 a pop for food sensitivity
Right.
testing, Dutch testing and all the things. And I was
Yep.
like, I'm going to have to keep doing this. And then genetics, you're like, oh, you do it once and you never have to redo it. So that's where you can find us. And I love chatting with people. So always feel free to like send me a DM or an email.
Awesome. Awesome. You guys go to the show notes, check her out because this is worth it. This is something, like you said, it's like a one-time investment, but then and you know how to grow and build your life upon it. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
cool. Oh my God, such a cool conversation. This was amazing. Um, and I can't thank you enough for sharing this information with us because now, like, I think we need to be on a mission to like keep this going. Like, this
Yeah.
needs to be mainstream. This needs to be talked about
Yeah.
more. Oh,
Thank you. Well, thanks, Melissa, so
yes.
much for having me on it. I really appreciate it.
Oh, this was great. Everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. Until next time. The Bomb Life podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The content shared here is not intended as medical, legal, or professional advice. Always consult with a qualified professional before making any health, fitness, financial, or legal decisions. The opinions shared on this podcast are personal experiences and insight. So if you need expert guidance, go find the right professional for you. Thanks for listening.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.